All right. Hello, hello, Maria Alejandra Peña. We are so excited to have you here today. We are talking a little bit about our elemental journey, and as always, it is an honor to have an elemental, amazing person like you here with us today. So, to introduce everyone, um, Maria Alejandra has been working in the movement space for 13 years, and she has been teaching conscious movement and dance through a special blend of nature and movement aligning with the outdoors. So she's created kind of this special somatic experience in which she uses the tools that she's gathered from her trips to France, to living in Colombia, and she's made it her own. So we are so happy to have you here today. Is there anything else you want to add to your intro?
No, thank you, Mari. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be with you today, and thank you for the invitation.
Yay, perfect. All right, so let's start with knowing a little bit more about what makes you unique. So, what makes you feel the most alive in this earth?
Um, Dancing, and when I say dancing, um, I'm speaking about the experience of being so embodied that I and thus so present that I can not only, like deeply connect with what's happening in my physical body and I can feel my muscles and my heartbeat and the aches that I have in my body, but I can, I can deepen that connection and I can go underneath the skin and perception comes online and the sensing and the feeling and perhaps like emotions start coming to the surface and like this connection it's not only within but also with what is around. That's why I love dancing in nature because it's like the connection with trees, leaves, flowers, birds, everything becomes, like amplified and I can feel them. I can, it's like the apparent separation just kind of like dissolves and I feel more part of like everything and that connection with the big creator it's also there and it's really beautiful like to be able to just be there and my movement becomes a prayer and I listen also through the movement so yeah definitely would be dancing what makes me feel most
You
alive.
know, they say that like singing is like praying once or twice, like, sorry, they say singing is like praying twice. So maybe dancing is praying three times.
I know, but to me, it's like, yeah,
1 million
it's my
times.
way of, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So that's beautiful. So you really connect to unity consciousness when you are dancing, and I think that's really special that you get to share this as a facilitator and that you get the opportunity to do this at Yoga Bonito. That is a place that we have a lot of Colombian bamboo, it's little little birds that come. It's filled with so much nature. Has this place been one of the ones where you enjoy facilitating your experience the most?
Um, Probably the most, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel so grateful for that space that has welcomed me and held over 1 year already, more than 1 year, and it's very special. So I invite anyone that has the opportunity to come because just only the space, like I say that like my experience, probably more than half of the experience is already given and gifted by the environment that is around us.
Beautiful. Yes, I love that. The medicine is already there and then you help amplify it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just an instrument. I'm just like working in service of whatever it's around.
That's beautiful. All right. So, one thing we love here in the elemental journey is to know that we all have different predispositions for our elements. And so, as we were looking at your chart and looking at everything in your life, it points that air is typically the one that is most natural in your system because you love different languages, you love traveling the world, and it's easy for you to move, to change, to shift. And and then we talked that Earth is maybe one of the ones that you find the stickiest connection with, meaning you have to make more of an effort. It doesn't naturally come. And I know that as a facilitator, this is a skill that you have built. So tell us a little bit more about kind of like your strongest element and the one that you've had to train the most.
Okay. Okay, yeah, you're totally right. And actually, I have to say that my relationship with the elements started when I started dancing.
Oh, wow.
And then through movement, I realized how much air I was. And I was, like it just felt very natural for me to just like, I just wanted to fly. And that was, like the moment where I felt most, like it was easy and natural for me.
Yes.
And then I discovered how challenging for me was, at the beginning was earth. Like I didn't have roots. That's what I learned. So it was very important for me, um, like in my life, to start planting those roots,
Wow.
to start, like grounding and like through planting those roots,
Yeah.
I really could deepen the connection with this body earth. And
Beautiful.
also, like I realized that um, having those roots would also allow me to fly higher, but then to know the way back
Oh, wow. I love
safely.
that.
Yeah. So like for me, it's not a matter of like like for me they both make part of the same organism, like and for me I have always this amazing image of the bamboo has very deep roots,
So glad you're talking
very
about
very,
this.
and it takes a long time to go into, like down. So after it can just like grow into the sky. And like for me it's just like that's the way to do it, like there's no other way, like. And so yeah, that's why, like this weaving of nature, like it's so, I would say nature's probably, yeah, it's been such a teacher. And For me, so yeah, earth was challenging, and I guess I've built and I've worked on that connection. And
Yeah.
then, like I realized that Earth is present on my birth chart. I'm actually a Taurus, so
Yeah.
I'm Earth by nature. Um, so it's been very interesting, kind of like awakening that which is kind of like natural, yeah, in me. And
Yeah.
then say that another element that was really, like
Calling your name.
I felt, like a little foreign to me was water.
Water.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like that, like the fluidity of water, the shape shifting, that was really, like with earth, it was kind of like waking up something that was dormant.
Yeah.
And once it was awakened, it was just like boom, like I'm in my element. Like I feel it,
Right.
but water is like what is this, like it just felt really foreign. So water has been an amazing journey to, yeah, to learn from that element.
So connecting to your emotions also felt a little harder with the water
Of
element?
course, yeah,
Yeah.
completely, because like yeah, thank you for bringing that because
I mean, dancing is so much about emotions, so it makes sense.
yeah, and also because I probably grew up in an environment where getting in touch with your emotions and feeling them and giving them space and expressing them was not allowed, kind of. So so it was really yeah, it was foreign. It just felt foreign. But then, but then it was amazing to find a space which would allow me to do everything I couldn't before and to feel that it was okay
Right.
uh, and that I
You're
was in a
safe.
safe space. Yeah,
Okay, I love that. I love that topic so much because it really is it really is all about safety.
yeah,
You know, it's finding these spaces, especially for dance, There are some dance spaces, sometimes even ecstatic dance places that just don't feel that safe and grounding. So that's why
mm,
I took a lot of interest in your class and why I think it's very special because there is that level of safety that is so true, so felt, so strong. And so when I'm in an environment like that, and I imagine a lot of your students tell you this, but when they're in an environment that you facilitate, it makes them feel very safe to open up, to maybe do a dance move or even be still, because you have given them permission as a facilitator. So so you also give them permission to express their emotions and so it's a very therapeutic process for sure.
oh, definitely. Like it all starts on the physical body, but
Yeah.
because we're not disconnected, we're emotional beings, we're mental beings, we're spiritual beings. So everything, like it connects.
Yeah,
And I guess, and thank you for bringing the like how safety is so at the core of of this work. um, and this is one of the key things that I like I really um, it's aspirational really to be able to hold a safe space and
mm,
to invite people to feel in their safety net and to
yes,
feel um, free just to be to express to move or not move. So
I love that, being free with who you are meant to be and how you're meant to move or not move. Okay, so I want to share with you something that is on the topic. So we were talking a little bit about three elements predominantly. So let's start with the one that you said felt the strongest for you.
okay.
So, so here we have the air element. So a beautiful colibri. So it reminds me like your earrings and just your energy of, flow. So so I just want to know when we read this affirmation, do you feel like it applies also to that air nature of you? So it says, my air is in balance. My relationships are reciprocal and fulfilling.
Hmm.
How do you feel about that the hummingbird and the heart chakra and and that in your life?
Oh my God, I mean, what can I tell you? Like people that have been dancing with me for a while will tell you, I mean, she's a hummingbird. Like
Yeah.
I really, when I dance, is like the spirit of the hummingbird just becomes alive.
Mm,
And actually, the hummingbird was probably my first totem animal.
wow.
Um, and I just love that little creature. And I don't know if you. will believe what I'm gonna tell you, but 5 minutes before you call me,
Mm.
I'm in the third floor, and they don't usually come that high, and I don't have flowers around. Um, but 5 minutes ago, there was a hummingbird right here.
Oh, I was
So
remembering.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I feel so connected to that spirit of the hummingbird. Um, like for me, it's the freedom. It's like for me, it's a joy bringer. Like I see a hummingbird, and
Mm.
just like my whole body kind of like lights up.
I love that. I have a little ring that's I don't know what bird it is, but I think it's so cute. Anyways, the beautiful thing about each element is that when we have one that is predominant, our medicine is often the opposite. So, for
Yeah,
example, here with the hummingbird, it says, my medicine is in creating routines that hold me as I create the life I love. So,
you know. That's why I had to
this earth.
plant my root.
Yes, routines is the earth. And so it's beautiful that we talked about, the air and the earth because they are such amazing complements. So they really do hold each other really beautifully. And I felt that when I showed you the image of the hummingbird, you paused like for a minute and I was scared. I was like, is everything okay? And you were just tapping into the magic and synchronicity that
Yeah,
had
of
just
course.
happened. I love that. So yeah, what do you want to share with us that's in your heart about a micro habit that we could adopt to help us start connecting with movement and that air element or that earth element and that groundedness?
I would invite everyone to like find a safe space and start playing with the music you like,
Hmm.
and then just start probably, um, which is not always very easy,
Hmm.
but quieting the mind, but probably, just like bringing attention to the feet, like just bringing a little bit of, like we have so much energy here. And if we just move our attention down the earth, it's kind of like we're just bringing everything that it's so concentrated here a little bit more, like even through the body. And probably just one first thing would be really to connect with how your feet are in contact with the surface they're on top. And
Beautiful.
then I would invite everyone to start moving from there. Like it start feeling how probably that energy, that portal, which is your feet, that connection to the earth, starts kind of like pumping energy from underneath and start to kind of like guide the movement from there, from your feet. And yeah, like try to disconnect from the dance or the steps or all those learned ways, and
Yeah,
just like it's so like
we're
some people
disconnecting
say
from what's right and what's wrong out of the window.
out of the question. Like in this practice, there's no right, wrong, and there's no way of making it wrong. Like everyone knows how to move, and your movement, it's so unique, and you need it so much. And one of the things that I really love about this practice is, like for me, it was truly a way to awaken the sense of freedom.
Mm.
You know, I I was always someone who was really, like the good student, the good daughter, following rules, like in
Perfect box.
in the yeah, exactly in the box, fitting in the box. And I still remember, and it's so vivid. It's still my first conscious movement class, and I just like, I just love it because for the first time, I just felt free to move in whatever way my body felt, and
Mm.
I was not only free to do it, but it was welcome and it was allowed. And actually, no one was watching at me. Like everyone was so in their bodies, in their journey, and then and it was so beautiful, like to experience being so free with people also being so free. So that experience of freedom for me, it's just like honey and nectar, and I wish that everyone could experience that.
That's the nectar of the favorite flowers of the hummingbird. I love it.
I had to bring the magic of the hummingbird.
Oh my goodness. Well, I feel like there is something so special with movement and the specific conscious movements that, conscious light workers bring because we get to dissolve so much shame, vergüenza, pena. We get to dissolve so many layers of right, wrong. I am bad for moving this way. I am embarrassed of moving this way, and just be. And there's not many spaces in life where we can just be. For example, if I
Yeah,
was at a restaurant and I felt like I wanted deep connection to the earth and I threw myself to the ground, I would probably get kicked out, you know? Even if that was my soul's calling and even if I wasn't hurting anyone by doing it. It wouldn't it wouldn't feel safe or held. So it is just so special to have a space where you can dissolve that shame and that right and that wrong and this is the perfect move. Move your left foot two to the side, two to the left, hop three times. There's the rule is that you are just you and follow your rule. So I think it's a very sacred space because of that.
thank you, Marty.
Yeah. And I'm all for dissolving more of the those layers of shame because in Hawking's and David Hawking's scale of consciousness, shame
Mhm.
is the lowest vibration
Yeah,
that I think he says vibrates at like 20 and it says it's the lowest. So this is the one that truly breaks, you know, doesn't let us move out of survival mode in our bodies. So it's so special. It's so special here. I'm gonna share the screen real quick so people that don't know about the scale can see it. And this is in Spanish, but vergüenza is shame, and then we
yeah,
have guilt.
yeah,
And again, your work is also very special because we feel guilty for resting and doing something that brings us pleasure, like moving our bodies and dancing and taking 1 or 2 hours for ourselves. And so I think it really works a lot with these two
yeah, definitely.
vibrations and energies here. And and so we're tapping out of the contracted state of being into the expanded state of being with practices like this. So thank you for devoting your life's work to expanding that consciousness through the body, through the air, and the earth element.
Thank you, Marty. I really love what I do, and um, yeah, like the hummingbird that goes from flower to flower. My hope is that I can get to touch as many flowers as
Mm,
possible because like I truly speak from experience, and this practice has not only changed my life, but it's kind of like saved my life.
mm,
Really finding roots was was vital.
yeah,
Otherwise, this would be another story.
yeah.
So it was really thanks to this practice
Wow.
and its many gifts that yeah, like I would say that my journey of evolution has been definitely been driven by movement.
Mm, that's so beautiful. Thank you for that vulnerable share of movement was life or death. That's impactful. That shows people that are like, what the heck is this? How potent it can be. And I appreciate your vulnerability. And in my poet heart, I imagine you as the hummingbird reminding all the flowers the nectar that each one has within, which is so different, one flower to another, but they all have nectar inside. And so that makes my poet brain like imagine and drift off imagining that. So I love it. I love that image. It's really
And
special.
and I yeah, that, and like that's, I guess the also um one of the the gifts of the practice, that we each discover how unique we are,
Mm.
and that our uniqueness is needed and it's welcome, and
Yes.
um, and it's like, um, and it feeds the other.
Yeah.
I guess this practice is really, a journey within,
Yeah.
but also the other.